Good morning and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. They flit across the pages of the Bible quickly, their stories typically covering only a few verses, or perhaps they are mentioned only briefly. Nevertheless, the Bible story is full of people through whom, in whom, and with whom God acted. Many of those Bible men and women are well known to us. Noah, Moses, Elijah, Ruth, David, and Solomon. But there are also many others whose stories aren't so large, others who played a smaller role, but who were still significant, some in positive ways, others in not so positive ways. This week, we're going to look at a few of those Bible people you've never heard of. And we're going to start today with Baruch ben Neriah. Baruch was a Jewish aristocrat, apparently the nephew of a close counselor of King Zedekiah. More importantly, he was a close friend and possibly a relative of the prophet Jeremiah. His name means that he is Baruch, the son of Neriah, but we know more than that. Old Testament names have meaning, and Baruch means blessed, and Neriah means my candle is the Lord. What an incredible reminder to have in your very name, the reminder that you are blessed by God and that God is your light. Nevertheless, we don't remember Baruch for his name. In that day, very few people knew how to write. And often when people needed something written down, they hired someone who did know how to write to record it. In this day, the most likely writing surface was clay tablets into which the words would be inscribed. Even more, many of the Old Testament prophets were in that situation, and so they literally spoke the words that God gave them while their scribe wrote it down. Baruch was the scribe who wrote down the words of the prophet Jeremiah. But he also had a greater role than that. Jeremiah had been preaching things that led the religious leaders of the day to ban him from the temple. But Jeremiah had some words from God for the people, and so he told them to Baruch, who wrote them down. Then Jeremiah asked Baruch to go to the temple and read them on his behalf. And that's just what he did. In Jeremiah 36 we read, in the 4th year of King Jehoiakim, son of Josiah of Judah, this word came to Jeremiah from the Lord. Take a scroll and write on it all the words that I have spoken to you against Israel and Judah and all the nations from the day I spoke to you, from the days of Josiah until today. It may be that when the house of Judah hears of all the disasters that I intend to do to them, all of them may turn from their evil ways so that I may forgive their iniquity and their sin. Then Jeremiah called Baruch, son of Neriah, and Baruch wrote on a scroll at Jeremiah's dictation all the words of the Lord that he had spoken to him. And Jeremiah ordered Baruch, saying, I am prevented from entering the house of the Lord. So you go yourself, and on a fast day, in the hearing of the people in the Lord's house, you shall read the words of the Lord from the scroll that you have written at my dictation. You shall read them also in the hearing of all the people of Judah who come from their towns. It may be that their plea will come before the Lord, and that all of them will turn from their evil ways, for great is the anger and wrath that the Lord has pronounced against this people. And Baruch, son of Neriah, and all the people did all that the prophet Jeremiah ordered him about reading from the scroll the words of the Lord in the Lord's house. Now, frankly, that took some courage. Baruch risked attack and possibly death for reading Jeremiah's banned words, but he did it. He knew the truth of God in what Jeremiah said, and his allegiance was to that, not to his own safety. Later on, he watched the destruction of Jerusalem with Jeremiah, and then with Jeremiah was carried off into Egypt, where he later died. Baruch wrote things down, but Baruch also dared to enact his faith in the God who was his light. May our faith be so bold. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.